Hey y'all, I've been actively getting ready for fall planting, and one of the things that I've really needed to get done is redoing the drip irrigation in the front 3 raised beds that sit right underneath our front window. This bed has been used for many different things: flowers, squash, peppers. I've not done tomatoes in there, but I've done lots of herbs. And this past growing season, I used that bed for strawberries and herbs and also garlic. Onions were added kind of last minute because I ran out of space in other places that I was growing onions. And I found that the onions did really, really well in that spot. They got just enough light, and the watering in those beds is kind of sketchy because it's the south side. It gets lots and lots of sun, and it doesn't really matter how much I water it. It never stays completely saturated. So it's good. The onions don't rot. Garlic doesn't rot. And everything else usually gets just enough water because it's on drip irrigation. The problem that I've had is that I never really planned out the drip irrigation. I just kind of took some leftover tubing that I had and swirled it around in there, and I put some stakes to hold it, and I put a couple of bubblers on just to make sure that the beds were getting enough water. This time around, I am going with a grid system. And if any of you have ever done any of your research on different methods of setting up your drip, you'll know that there's an awesome company out there that is, I believe it's called Garden in Minutes, and they sell a drip irrigation for raised beds where it's set up pretty much in a square foot gardening method. So you have all of these little 1 foot squares set up in the grid, and the water shoots out and evenly waters the bed. Well, if you're anything like me, you don't have the budget for buying Garden in Minutes preset drip irrigation. So in this video, I am going to do it myself. If you've done anything with drip irrigation, it's very easy for you to just go ahead and do this on your own. I'm going to show you just how fast it is. Now, I choose to pre-cut most of my pieces before I start to assemble. It's just so much easier, faster to get it done. So you won't see the cutting in this video, but you will see me assembling all of the pieces. Let's get into the video and you guys can see just how easy it is. So here I'm just contemplating. I'm taking a look at my chart that I've done. I've got my pieces all laid out, a combination of elbows, crosses, and T's. And I do order these from Amazon for about $11. I did also go ahead and put together a valve to be able to shut off each section because it is 3 separate beds. You will need your drip tubing, and I use the 1/2 inch drip tubing that you just saw. I get that from Home Depot, and it comes in different lengths. You can get it in a 50 foot, 100 foot, and I think also a 500 foot length. All of these things together, this grid is going to end up costing about $18, just under $19 per bed. The Garden in Minutes costs $65 for a 2x4 bed. Seems like just simple math. It makes a whole lot more sense to take a little bit of time to do this. So there are no tools that are really necessary to do this other than your pruner or scissor and just a little bit of your time. Your hands will probably hurt. I put this thing together, and for about 2 days, the palm of my hands are really, really sore. But for me, it's worth it. And you simply just grab the piece that you need, and you wiggle it together and push all of the pieces together. You see, I'm just kind of taking my time with it. That is because I have 2 different sizes of the drip tubing cut. The reason for that is I mismeasured. I'll be completely honest with you. I mismeasured and I ended up having to trim some of my pieces down. And the path of least resistance was to just trim down one end a little bit shorter than the other, so it's not exactly a square foot on that end. Just working my way through it, and I'm going to keep this in real time so you guys can see just how quickly I put this thing together. I do have to do a third one. The first one I did off camera, and so the third one that I put together, I'm going to speed that one up for you. I'm not going to make you suffer through that. The tubing, because it comes coiled, is going to be a little funny to work with. Not difficult to work with, but it's just weird because the pieces are curving in all directions as you're working with them. Once you get the entire thing assembled, though, you can twist those pieces to the straightest direction, and it kind of forces it to straighten out a bit. And then you'll see at the end, I set it all out on the driveway, and the sun does most of the work for me in straightening out those pieces and flattening them out along with gravity. The 1/2-inch tubing goes on to the barb connectors. So just that process of wiggling them, they'll seat pretty nicely into the tubing. If your water pressure is very, very high, you do risk blowing one of those connectors out. But typically, if your pressure is not too bad, you're not going to have a problem. And in fact, if you mess up, you'll have to cut it off because it's going to be really tough to pull them out once those barbed pieces get pushed in. I don't know how you guys feel if you have a YouTube channel when you're watching your videos back and just watching yourself work and looking at your own mannerisms. It is so funny to me to watch myself. So I'm super focused as I do this, and I do get a little bit anal about some things, and as I'm working, you'll see I'm twisting the pieces and turning them and double checking just to make sure that I'm putting the right pieces in the right spot. I'm again lining pieces up to make sure that they are similar in length, because doing this yourself, yes, I do use a measuring tape before I cut, but the ends are never completely straight, and I'm really not trying to be that exact because this is not something that requires rocket science. We're just looking for a vessel to get the water moving and to be able to properly water our plants once we add the bubblers. So this is almost done. Just got a few more pieces to put in, and then I'll come back and I'll do the cross pieces. Just making sure that I've lined up the right things and not messing this thing up. So we are now at the very end where I'm putting in the last of the elbows. And I don't know, did I already put in the T? I think I did. No, I didn't put the T in, so I'll come back and I'll get that one in just a bit. I think I got bored with that end and decided, let me go and do some of the cross pieces. This thing is really wiggly, so to make it a little bit more rigid, you've got to come back and put the cross pieces in. One thing I didn't mention, the shutoff valve that I added to each grid is not a requirement. If you're going to be planting multiple different crops, you may want to consider adding in a shutoff valve for each bed. You can also add a shutoff valve for different sections of the bed if you see the reason to do that. I didn't think that was necessary. Pretty much all three of the beds across the way are going to have similar crops, if not the same crops. I will separate my onions so that I know which variety is where, and then I'll be putting in other herbs and different vegetables around them. So I wanted to be able to shut off each bed individually. If for some reason I have to work on a bed and the drip is coming on soon, I can just turn that valve and shut that bed off, and it won't stop the others from being watered. Got my Amazon guy coming. He just drove past and he should be dropping off something else for me. This is the final tee. So can you see how it's a little bit wavy and not really straight like you would expect? You just take each section of the grid and twist those pieces, and you'll see a little bit soon here how they straighten out a little bit more. Now, it's never going to be perfect, you know, unless you're just sitting there with a saw and completely cutting all the things the exact size. It's not that serious to me. I'm not ever going to see this thing once the plants grow in. So I just want to make sure I've got water. And I'll just sit and I'll twist and twist until I can get these as straight as possible. Not trying to get it perfect again, but straight enough that I can take it out on the driveway and lie it down and let the sun soften up the tubing enough that gravity will pull it down. That's it. That's the grid. That's my 2x4 grid. So before I start the last one, I just want to show you guys my layout for my beds. It's much easier if you take the time to draw out what pieces you need, where they need to go, and how you want to add shutoff valves if you want to do it. So this is how I laid it all out. I probably could have avoided cutting the first square by putting them in a joint, but I didn't think about that in the process, so it is what it is. Here's a close-up of my shutoff valve. It's just got the one piece that's cut in half, and then the end pieces. The shutoff valve is added in the middle, so it works. And then along the top is how I'll connect all three grids together. Here is my cut tubing. That's the shorter piece, because like I told you, I measured wrong and I had to fix it, so I ended up having to do a longer piece and a shorter piece just to make this all work without starting all over from scratch. So I wasn't going to do that. The tubing in a 50-foot roll is only $10 at Home Depot. These are the bubblers that I bought to add along the tubing, and they do have a controllable valve, so you just use the barb puncher and the hole puncher, and you push that barbed inside the tubing. You can control how wide your spray is, you can tighten it down. You have to be careful because if you go a little bit too loose, the entire thing will come off. Just like here, I'm going to show you, it just twists off. You can twist them off to get out any debris that may get in there. But I love these things, they're perfect. These are all Rainbird bubblers and tubing. The connector pieces I don't buy the name brand, I just order them from Amazon. And the set comes with a straight connector just in case you goof and have to cut a piece and connect it back. So, like I said, you just need a scissor, or I just use my regular pruners to cut these. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to cut them. It's very, very simple. The magic of editing. Got it all done. So I'm just going to lie them all out here on the driveway where it's nice and hot. So they're a little bit twisty right now. You see the first one is a little bit straighter. That one's been sitting out on the driveway the entire time I was making the other two. So it's starting to flatten out on its own with the sun. And then I can come back and I can twist these things to the straightest piece, the straightest section, or the straightest direction, whatever it is I'm trying to say. And the sun will continue to straighten them out. And you'll see that all of the shutoff valves are in line. I will just connect the tops with tubing, and from the end piece it will go around and connect to my sprinkler timer. Just a quick up close for you. And it's really not difficult, guys. If you need to work on your drip irrigation, take the time. It's very easy. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I look forward to hanging out again very soon.